Hi Stoughton, this is Steve Cavey, Selectman for the town of Stoughton. Today is March 26th, 2019. Just wanted to give you guys an update on the meeting we just had. It was a kind of a long meeting, but I want to try and get through the highlights quickly. One of the first things we discussed was Joyce Husseini, who works for the school department. Requested that the Board of Selectmen support a statement of interest for the South School. Anybody is familiar with that school, it's about 61 years old, and there are a number of rooms within that building that are significantly undersized. See, I've got some of that information here. Sorry to keep you waiting. The Library Media Center is undersized. The building lacks sufficient testing and specialized classroom space to provide special education services. The gym is undersized. The clinic is undersized. The administrative offices are undersized. And the kitchen is undersized. And additionally, there are accessibility issues. The building is actually currently not ADA compliant. It's not compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act. If I understood her correctly, there's asbestos in the building. There's lead in the pipes, and typically buildings, school buildings like this, have a useful life of about 50 years. This one's 61 years old, which means it's more than 20% past its useful life. So the statement of intent is an effort to apply for and hopefully receive funding from the MSBA, which I want to make sure I mention who they are. That's the Massachusetts School Building Authority. They have a program that includes partial funding for a school. That's actually how we paid for our high school. A large portion of it was paid through a debt exclusion, and the other part, it was paid by the MSBA. And I think there might be almost like a 50-50 matching. I could be wrong about that, but their financing, or what they offer in funding, is really significant. So we went through those. And ultimately, the board agreed unanimously with that. So we support that application. It's not to say that they will actually get, their application will be accepted or not accepted, but that they'll actually get that funding. But you've got to try, and they're doing a good job. And the statement of interest that was submitted also isn't a vote to do this. It's just a vote to show that we have interest in doing it. So nothing's in stone here. We're just saying that this is something that we're interested in doing, and we certainly support that. Ultimately, this will probably come to town meeting, so in one way or another, and that's where we'll have to make stronger set of arguments and really make sure that we're in agreement as a community. So the next thing we discussed, we had 6 permits altogether. I'm just going to read through these and give them the dates, and hopefully if you're cued into the stuff going on, and any of these sound interesting to you, you'll be aware of them. The first one was the Stoughton Youth Baseball Opening Day Parade. It's going to be a parade that is on April 27th, 2019. The permit, I think I might have the wrong times here, but what I have is, I think it's 8:30. I think that's correct, and I have it going to 10:30, and that might actually be 11 instead of 10:30. But that's when it ends. But 8:30 to 10:30. The next permit was the Flanagan Testicular Cancer Awareness Road Race. That's going to be April 14th, 2019, and people can start lining up again, showing up around 8:30. I don't remember the start time, but I think it's later. I think it's like 9 or 10. So, but that's the permit is from 8:30 to 12 p.m. April 14th. The next was the Narragansett Summer Running Festival. That actually starts in Easton, and there's a portion of the race that comes through Stoughton. I believe it's a half marathon. That's July 14th, 2019, and the permit is from 7:30 to 11 a.m. The next is the Friends of Stoughton Center. Sorry, Friends of Stoughton Center was requesting a permit for to hold a carnival. That will be at the Hanson School Fields. Those are maintained by our rec department, and they're going to be setting up from July 1st and July 2nd, and the fair itself will happen on July 3rd through the 6th from noon to 10 p.m. and then July 7th, Sunday, from noon to 7 p.m. Next permit was the Memorial 5K, or I guess it's Memorial 5K race permit. That's going to be May 18th, 2019, from 7:30 a.m. to noon. And the last permit was Stoyak Softball Opening Day Parade, April 27th, 2019, and the permit is from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. I believe that one also is actually leaving a little later, so it's the permit's from 9 to 11 a.m., but I believe that the parade itself is leaving at 10 a.m., but I could be mistaken in that. But those are the various permits. All of them were approved. The next item that we discussed was the town engineer, Mark Tisdale, came by and gave us an update on a number of improvements that he's been involved with for the town. Some of them are quite substantial. The first one he discussed is a very, very small project, and he's able to fund it by piggybacking on another much larger set of projects. So there's no additional funding that's necessary. It's just going to be absorbed into another project where the funding has already been established, and it's for mitigation. There's a mitigation plan for 1516 Central Street. This is directly across the street from Elite Fitness, and the main issue there is that the exit to the exit out of Elite Fitness is a right turn only lane, but people are turning left there, and they are at nighttime. Their headlights are blinding some of the residents. So let me see if I can find information on this. But they Mark put together a pretty good graph. I don't know. Hopefully you're able to see it. So currently, people are coming out here, and they're able to make a turn directly through that little green space right there that doesn't exist currently. So so they're able to make a turn easily and go the other way, and they wind up shining their lights right to the man who lives here, into his house. So what we're able to do is just put a little additional pavement in there that has a slightly more forced, feel that leads you this way, and also add three signs. It's gonna be a sign down here, a sign here, and a sign here, really telling people. There's already one here, really telling them this is a right only, make a right. That's not to say that people will. Where there's a will, there's a way, and I'm sure a lot of people will turn right, left there anyway. But Mark worked very closely with that property owner, and he was able to, both of them agreed that this is not 100% fixed, but that he ultimately felt that this was an appropriate fix, and he agrees with this mitigation plan. So I'm happy to see that there was a resident who was able to come to us. We were able to listen to him and help him out. The town employees are really excellent at this. They really do care. They're good people, and so it's good to see people working for the betterment of the town. So if you need any reassurance, you definitely have people here who are on your side. The next issue, which was the much larger plan that this one rolling into, was a set of improvement plans. I'm not going to go into any detail here. There was a lot of it, so but I do want to say that what basically was covered. There's improvements to Route 138 and Route 27. This includes Town Center, the Town Square. There's traffic improvements, several of them. There are some limitations on what's possible, but with the space we have, there were a number of excellent suggestions that will definitely improve public safety and will improve traffic flow. It's not a slam dunk. We're not all going to suddenly be able to breeze through the square very easily, but people are putting their minds, they're really racking their minds trying to figure out a way to make this better, and these will be improvements certainly for the town. So the other two intersections were Canton Street and School Street. That intersection is a nightmare. Everyone who knows this, who's driven those, it's a very scary intersection. But they're looking to signalize that, and I think that's going to be a really helpful improvement, just to have signals there. The other was Lincoln and Pleasant, which I've actually personally I've only had like one problem there, but it is a very scary intersection, and just statistically, there are a lot of accidents there. So the fact that I've never had an issue is not evidence of anything. It's actually turns out it's a very dangerous intersection, and there's a lot of people who've complained about it. Once again, the town's listened, and they're looking to put a signal there, if I remember correctly. So the last item, I know I've gone 12 minutes here, and this was the big one. But so I won't go into too much detail. We had an opportunity to each share some of our thoughts on this, but it was the Hartman versus the town of Stoughton settlement that was mediated, and during the course of that discussion, I gave a very lengthy speech on this and on my feelings on it. I feel reticent to give you the Cliff Notes only because there's a lot of stuff that really all kind of ties in, and there's no quick way to say this. Nevertheless, here we are. So I'm going to give you the best I can, and what I hope is that you'll go back and watch the meeting and get the much longer description of my feelings on this. They're a little bit more nuanced, and I hope that you'll take that opportunity, and even if you disagree with my conclusions, I at least hope that you'll see that I'm sincere in my thoughts here. But the gist of it was that this settlement, in my view, the reason why I recommend following it is strictly financial. This is an opportunity for us to close this out for $65,000. That's what the town will be on the hook for, $65,000. That is not a small amount of money, but if we put that into context with similar settlements, for example, there was one in the town of Easton, which I think was like $600,000. So that's about 10% of that. So in the context, and this is also something that we're able to pull out of our current budget. So in the current year, there was more budgeted for certain departments than is going to be used, could even possibly be used, and so we're able to take that money from the current budget, so there will be no impact going forward, which is excellent. Now, on the other side of this, though, there's also another important element of it that affects a lot of people here, and I think that there was a hope that someone would be able to, some faction of this argument would ultimately be able to have a moral victory. They'd be able to say, we were right and you were wrong, and that isn't going to happen. This agreement doesn't include any finding of fault. There's nobody who's found to be culpable and another person a victim. This is everybody has agreed that we're all going to go our separate ways, and who was ultimately right is going to be left ambiguous and unresolved. And that is always difficult to do. you certainly want to be able to say I was right, the whole time, I told you so. But in the interest of the town, we couldn't justify any other decision than the acceptance of this. I couldn't. We voted unanimously for it, but I'm only going to speak for myself. I couldn't justify it. The potential risks of losing the current appeal, by our attorney's estimate, was at least $1 million, and most likely closer to $2.5 million. It was their opinion that the documents that I'm referring to is legal opinion by our counsel. Those are public documents, so I might attach them down below if I can figure out how. But it was his opinion that we were unlikely to prevail, and that we were it was likely that we would be on the hook for somewhere between $1 to $2.5 million. And our operating budget is so tight right now that we can't possibly do that without significant layoffs, and they would have to come from the biggest departments. That's where the people are. So we would be looking at laying off police, fire, DPW, potentially teachers, but that would have to be something that the school board would agree with, and they may not. Oh, so that would only mean that we'd have even more fire, police, and DPW workers laid off. The pain that would cause us is so significant that we just could not put ourselves in a position where we had to say, I don't care, let it ride. I know we're right. I know there's no reason why we should settle, and just go for it. Especially with a legal opinion saying that was an unlikely outcome. And so $65,000 is what we agreed on as a settlement. The total amount is $125,000. Our insurance covers up to $60,000. So the town has to pay the remainder, which is $65,000. And this is not exactly a win in the traditional sense. This is sort of this is the least worst position we could be in. That's where we find ourselves, and so this is the best. I think this is the best we can do, given our odds. The other point I really wanted to make, and I'm sorry this is going long, is that I also, in speaking about this case, really wanted to emphasize the fact that the selectman who fired Hartman, who didn't renew his contract, however you want to say it, they were aware of the risks involved with the decision they made, and they went through with it anyway. Now, whatever you feel about that, and everyone has very strong feelings. A lot of people have very strong feelings about this. I personally feel that they took this risk because they really felt like that what they were doing was the right thing for the town, and not having an outcome that was definitive, where they could say, "See, I told you I was right," is difficult. It's just difficult for them to be in that position. That ambiguity, this thing that's always going to be sort of hanging over their head is difficult. So what I asked for, and what I will continue to ask for is sympathy. If to the extent that you can, try to understand certainly their position, and show some grace. Just I think just being sympathetic to them, I think, is very important for the healing of this town, and I think it's something that the rest of the board seems to agree with. But ultimately, we had to make the choice based strictly on the finances, and I hope that we made the right choice. We spent a long time thinking about it, and it was a tough call. But this whole process has been very difficult for me and for the town in general. So hopefully we did right by you. So I thank you very much once again for the opportunity to represent the town as a selectman. It's really been a gigantic honor, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll probably see you guys here next week. Thank you so much.